realizing that's a reality. It's like, preparing for a hurricane. You know it's going to happen. So don't stick your head in the sand and say, no, the hurricane is not going to happen to me. The tornado is not going to happen to me. If you're in a, hurricane zone, it's going to happen to you. Then it's just about how do you prepare appropriately for that.
Yeah.
So in order to prepare for that, we have
some. Well,
10 rules for a clean
no,
fight.
he
Sorry, I
will-
want to headlight it. Headlight it, and she's not helping me do that.
No.
So, in order to have,
because I want, in order to have a clean fight, there needs to have been the challenges or the conflict. So I'm just gonna mention the things that you might find challenges in, and then you will do the 10 rules because you really are set on those. So, sources of conflict may arise because of financial issues. In-laws, we love our in-laws, but sometimes it does happen. Parenting styles. So we have our children. We were all brought up differently. So now we've got our children and we feel they should be raised. I feel they should be raised this way. He feels they should be raised this way. So they can arise a bit of conflict in that. So things that we need to talk through. Conflict may arise because of just planning holidays and Christmas. Are we going to yours for Christmas? Are we coming to mine for Christmas?
Or just Christmas itself. So during the Christmas, whatever you've done, that is usually a great source of conflict, especially people, lots of families coming together. Just Christmas itself, no matter where it is you've gone or what you've done, the fact that you're there at Christmas usually brings up some kind of conflict.
Yeah, and also expectations. We know that we all expect our lives to go this way, our children to grow up this way, the world to turn the other way, but it's not. It's turning the way that it always has. So all these expectations that we have can cause conflict in a marriage. But when you're there, when the sources of conflict have been addressed, when they've been identified, and now you're resolving, beginning to, or doing the fight. You now have to. There's some 10 rules that Mr. Richard is going to read us. We learned that this is a study that has been done over and over the years, and the teaching that is there, and it really has helped many marriages. So here are the 10.
What I've been trying to do the whole time is just highlight it. So the 10 rules for a clean fight. Okay. Yes. So first rule is never attack someone's person, which means you can have moments of back and forth and conflict, but the words that you'd say to attack, to cut deeply and attack a person, in a personal manner. You are a this, or you are a that, or you always do this because this is how you think. Those sorts of words, because the thing is, there's another saying that I've heard before, that a bell cannot be unrung. There are certain things that you can say that you can't take back. Once it's out there, it's out there. Okay? So just be very, very mindful of not attacking someone personally. Be factual about it. This is what's happened. So, and go through the steps of just factually. I know it's emotional sometimes, but try not to rise to that emotion and then attack the person personally. Okay.
Shall I take number 2? Shall we alternate? Number 2, stick to the issue. So when you are speaking about the issue about the car, for example, stick to the issue about the car. Don't start bringing up the issue about the day you were late, or the money that was spent there, or the conversation that you had the other time. So number 2, stick to the issue.
Yeah. Number 3, let go of the past. Kind of related to the previous point, but if you're hanging on to previous situations, previous elements of conflict, and you keep bringing those up, or even if you're not bringing them up, but you're thinking about them, it makes you a little bit angrier. It makes you a little bit more stronger and not willing to let go of this one. It's almost like, this is the last straw and I will not let go of this particular one. But if you're on the last straw, it's because you're thinking of all the other straws. It's not just a straw by itself. It's just another straw that's happened to come across and blown across your path and your walk together. So let go of the past. When you've laid down certain things and you've put them away and you've resolved them, it's resolved. Move on.
All right. Number four. Number four. Try not to interrupt.
Not to interrupt.
Like I've been doing the whole time when you were trying to talk. So try not to interrupt. So if you're really having a conflict resolution meeting or talk, try not to interrupt your person. That way you can hear everything that they are saying, and when they are speaking, when you are now speaking, they can hear what you are trying to communicate to them. And if it's terrible enough that you're sitting there and it cannot be done, try using an object. So some people say the person who's holding the fan is the one who will be talking. So if I'm holding the fan, then I am talking. And when I pass the fan,
then it's my turn to talk. And actually, I want to add on to that as much as it's important to hear, it's important to understand. So where you're not just giving them time for them to have their say, and you're sort of like, rubbing your fingers and saying, I can't wait for you to finish because I'm about to have a go. No, it's about hear them, let them speak, and try and understand what they're saying, because you'll find a few seeds or something will come out and you're like, oh, that's why they see it that way. I didn't know that. And then you can respond appropriately. So it's not just I'm going to lob my grenade. Okay, now you lob your grenade and I'm going to lob my grenade. It's, no, let's speak to each other, understand each other, and communicate effectively with each other. Oh, I'll hand over the talking stick.
Okay. So, number 4, try not to interrupt.
And number 5, this is a difficult one for me. Say sorry. Have it within you to be able to be a bigger person and be the first person to say sorry sometimes. Now, this doesn't mean it should always come from one side, because obviously if it's always coming from one side, if the sorry is always coming from one side, that then builds up problems of its own, because it can build up resentment, it can build up feelings of, well, are you never sorry for anything? Are you perfect? And we're not perfect. But if you've gone through the other steps correctly and you've heard what your person has to say, you've understood what they've had to say, there are going to be times when you realize you're wrong. And when you realize you're wrong, say it. Because sometimes, I mean, the first times when I, got to, being able to say sorry, it's been a journey for me. It felt like, almost like acid rising up. I could taste it in my mouth, like, sorry. And it's not a real sorry, even when I knew I was wrong. So, believe me, I know where you're coming from if you find it hard to say sorry. I know that pride, and pride is a killer. Pride is a tough one to come over, and so you have to, because you have to remember, this is someone you've given your life to. This is not just someone you met in a club 10 minutes ago. They you spilled a drink on them and you're like, oh, okay, sorry. I'm never going to see you again. This is someone you're spending your life with. This is a place where you've planted your flag. Mm-hmm. So you need to, be able to be honest and fair, and where you have been wrong, and yeah, I am wrong sometimes, and I'm sure you were wrong sometimes too. Say sorry.
Yes. Number 6, try not to fight in public. It's very, very, very good for people to just see you smiling at one another and not fighting.
So I thought you were about to say it's good to fight in public. Yeah.
No.
It can be entertaining. It's fair enough. Yeah.
It's my turn. So try not to fight in public. It can be something that might just rise up in you and you... No, try not to do it in public. Because in public, guess what? Everyone is watching you. And if you're people who well known, it will demoralize the people that are around you. People look up to marriage and they really want to learn how to have a good marriage. So I know it can be hard and it can be tricky sometimes when something happens and you didn't expect it, but try to keep your composure and wait, bite your tongue. And don't do it in public. It is ugly when you do it in public as well.
And it's entertaining for other people.
Yes.
It's very entertaining for other people, but
don't entertain people.
You're not there to entertain them. Your marriage is not a joke. Your marriage is not a game show. You're not there to, put it on stage and put it on blast, everything that's going on. Very similar to what we're speaking about, washing your dirty laundry in public. You don't need to do that. We're not saying hide things under the carpet. We're saying deal with things in an appropriate manner, because you fight in public around your friends or your family, you'll resolve it between yourselves. You'll go
Yes.
back to those members of the family, and guess what? They're still thinking about that fight that you had,
True.
and you
True.
said that to my daughter, or you said that to my sister,
Mm.
and she's forgiven you. But then
Everyone
her
else
brother and
hasn't.
everyone else hasn't,
Yeah.
because that's a snapshot that they saw.
Yeah.
So
And
it's best not to. It's best just to be circumspect about how are we portrayed in public. What are we saying to each other in public? Because that is going to affect people's perception of us.
And when you have children, children also fall under the category of public. So what we were taught was, we're not saying don't fight in front of your children, but there are fights that should never be done in front of the children, because it affects their psychological,
Their development,
their
their
development
understanding
and
of what a
stuff.
healthy
Yeah.
relationship looks
But
like.
also, when you have an argument in front of the children, make sure you have the resolution in front of the children as well, so they can see that yes, in a marriage, it's true that there's sometimes that mommy and daddy can disagree upon something, but later on you will see mommy coming back to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, daddy. I thank you for doing that," or the daddy will come back and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, mommy. This, I shouldn't have done this." So if you're gonna fight in front of your children, choose your
Or have
battles
an
and
argument,
resolve.
yeah.
Not a fight, but the when the challenges arises and the children are there, when you have the
have
talk,
that back and forth
then
discourse,
have the resolution in front of the children as well, so they can learn.
Yeah, but
So
you have to be picky about that too, because like Samantha said, there are some things that just
never
shouldn't be in
go
front
back.
of the children. Yeah, that
So
you just shouldn't be saying those things in front of the
So
children.
that was number 6. Try not to fight in public.
Okay, so on to number 7. Another one that's difficult for me. Lose some arguments. If you're one who's eloquent, or you're good with words, or you're used to sort of debating, and you've just got some skills or expertise in that area, and your partner doesn't, you could potentially win every single fight. Even where you're wrong, you
Yep.
could find a way to win. But I was about to use one of those words. That could be a Pyrrhic victory. What do I mean by that? That you could win that battle, but you lose the war. What's the point of winning when all you do is demoralize and bring down your partner? Because at the end of the day, the goal is a happy, healthy, and sustainable marriage.
Yes.
But if all you're doing is tearing your person down because you've always got to win that argument. You've always got to have the last say. You've always got to be proved right. You've always got to get your point across. So even if you're wrong, but my point was still right on this point, or subsection 2, part E, paragraph C. No. It's okay to lose an argument every now and then. And actually, it's a healthy thing. Because as children have to learn sometimes, you're not always going to win in life. So it's okay for you to give some things to your partner where you know that they're right. Lose some arguments.
Number 8, try not just to listen to your partner. So I think he touched on it earlier. Don't just listen, but hear what they're saying. So there's a difference between just listening and hearing. Hearing means you've understood what your partner is saying, what your spouse is saying to you. So just try not to just listen and I'm listening. I know, when I call him when he's driving home from work, or when he calls me when he's driving home from work, he's listening to me because I'm
on
going
Bluetooth,
on.
very legally.
Yeah, I'm going on about my day, and I've learned that I just speak about my day was like this, and then but if there are more important things to communicate about, I don't speak about them over the phone like that. I wait till he gets home, sits down and relaxes, and then I will speak about the more important issue. So when you're conflict resolution about a thing, try to hear your partner. So hearing would be when they speak, repeat to them what you have heard and understood, and ask them if that's what they meant by what they have spoken. So that was number 8. Try not just to listen to your partner, but to understand how they felt.
Okay. And number 9, forgive and move on. I know we touched on this earlier as well. And this is one of those, don't really have to delve into it too deeply. It's pretty much what it says on the tin. It's important to bury the hatchet